Call of Duty Zombies is a mode that is widely known to be one of the greatest third modes of all time, filled with mystery, a compelling story, and a certain bit of gay?
Honestly, you can't even begin to imagine the things I've had in my mouth.
I don't know. Anyway, in recent times the Zombies mode has started losing its identity, become extremely bland, and is currently on life support. Which sounds kind of funny if there were no context. I will be doing a basic breakdown of everything in Zombies, from the bulky HUDs to map design, some story stuff, and maybe even a bit of the music. I'm not necessarily trying to fix the problems, but if I did, that would mean that I'm the best YouTuber of all time. The Bioat. The Bioat. In all seriousness, this video has taken me about 4 months to make. Not because I'm editing or anything, but because talking to myself absolutely sucks. Like, I just got so many questions. How the hell do you sound captivating? How do you talk to yourself while not sounding insane? Why is that zombie on life support? So I'm sure you can tell that I've just given up trying to be professional. I've barely written a script, probably not enough research, and actually scratch that. Definitely not enough research. And I'm also trying to work on a video game myself, which doesn't involve making videos on the side. And with all these powers combined, you get this video that is filled with incomprehensible nonsense. Even the trusty waffle out there can't crack this bullshit. Also, the Black Ops 6 trailer came out after the bulk of this video was already recorded, so I will talk a little bit about it near the end of the video. Just a real quick TLDW, if you will. Since the video was long, I just want to get the basic points out of the way. Zombies isn't even a shadow of its former self. The devs are not entirely at fault. Corporate kills creativity, hashtag that bitch. And if the community as a whole does not like something, make your stance known and stick to it. Now, without further ado, let's begin. A good way to start the roasting of zombies is to talk about what made zombies great in the first place. So I'm going to really quickly go over the foundations and what the state of zombies was like during its peak. This video is long enough already, so I won't go into detail, and there are people who could explain the greats about zombies way better than I ever could. Anyway, there are 3 main points I want to cover: the creativity, the difficulty, and the mystery of the mode. I believe that it is these 3 aspects that made the game mode replayable to everyone and how it managed to become the best third game mode in Call of Duty's history. During the peak of zombies, it truly felt like the devs had complete control over the decisions of everything in the mode. The only thing that would hold them back would be the engine and console hardware limitations, or the systems that were created for the rest of the game. Because obviously when you're developing a game, you would use the same mechanics and systems that have already been made. For example, the armor system in Black Ops 4 when they took away Jug and almost tried to make it seem like the armor was the new Jug, but instead it turned out to be a fucking embarrassment. Anyway, with the core gameplay of zombies never really changing, each bit of content still felt extremely fresh and new because of the amount of creative freedom and passion the devs had when making the new zombies content. At the very least, that's what it felt like anyways. When it comes to the challenge of zombies, there were Easter eggs for players to do if they wanted, or challenges that the community came up with. There were even maps that were specifically for newer players and maps for returning more hardcore players. This allows for the new players to be introduced to zombies and learn the zombies mechanics, while also still allowing the returning players to still find that joy of experiencing a new challenge. For example, excluding World at War, each zombies installment after that had at least 2 maps on launch. One would be an extremely easy map, and another would be the more difficult map. Black Ops 1 had Kino and 5, Black Ops 2 had Nuketown and Transit, Black Ops 3 had The Giant and Shadows of Evil, Black Ops 4 had 9 and the blue screen of death, which, according to the doctor, first of all, I am not a doctor, but rather a Bachelor of Arts with a major in internet stardom, or a bastard for short. Secondly, this is the first symptom of downfall syndrome. I tried getting more information from him, but he rambled on about some story about being a scientist and was cursing some other doctor for blowing up the earth. I don't know what it means, but it is a puzzling tale. Or a mystery, if you will. Anyway, another aspect that had the players coming back was the mystery. Now, I don't really know how to explain what I mean, so instead I'm just going to go straight into an example. This is going to have one of two reactions. Oh my god, I remember this! Or, I didn't even know there was a Route A in Modern Warfare Zombies. That's right, I'm talking about bus Route B. Holy shit, that massive rabbit hole had the entire community by the balls until Die Rise came out. To this day, it still gets talked about. Not really for any new discoveries or anything, but more what they wished Route B to be, or talking about the lore of Route B. The crazy thing is that it wasn't even a great map. I would put it in okay at best, but this theorizing, I guess, almost became a part of the gameplay loop and was super important for Zombies and the community. And that is the super quick rundown of what Zombies was. I originally had this idea that I would go through beat by beat from the point of view of someone discovering zombies in World at War, all the way up until Black Ops 3 Zombies, as that is the pinnacle of zombies. But that segment alone came to about half an hour long, and I hadn't even gotten to the main point of the video yet. Point is that I realized that I didn't really do the mode justice, but as I said before, there are videos that can explain it way better than I ever could. Now let the shit talking begin. Now, I'm sure that it is no secret that the older maps are just way more unique than the current ones. Obviously, to a lot of people, it's because of the facility maps. Now, I'm not saying that all facility maps are inherently bad, and I can prove it. If you think about it, about 70 to 80% of the Ether story maps are facility maps, specifically science and military facility maps. I am purely talking about the Ether maps as well, so no Chaos maps, no Exo maps, no World War II or Infinite Warfare Zombies maps. Okay, so let's quickly list them off. Nope, facility, 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 facility. Kinda. We know there is a facility thanks to the radios on the map, but also thanks to Targ, we know that the actual facility is up the mountain, which is obviously not in the map Call of the Dead. Nope, facility. Kinda for transit, there is a small area where your eyes get nuked when you go into the shed. Facility, nope. Nope for Mob of the Dead. At the time, I don't think there was any kind of proof that Richtofen's little science thing was there at the time. Nope, facility, nope, facility, 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 nope, kinda, facility, facility, facility. The point of showing you this is to prove that even though each of these are facility maps, they were still unique because they weren't seen as facility maps. For example, when I think of DE, I think of the castle map, or Ascension, I think of the rocket base. But the problem with recent maps is that when you think of them, you think facility in X, facility in Y. Example, Firebase Z is a facility near a jungle. Forsaken is Russia's fake American facility. The Machine is a facility in the frozen forest. And with Black Ops 6's trailer out now, I can only hope that the map that was revealed doesn't feel like a facility on an island, but rather a zombie-infested island with a facility in there somewhere, I guess. The facility part should take the back seat, is what I'm trying to say. Just a quick note, from this point on regarding the maps, I probably won't be talking about the remade maps, especially when regarding map creativity. Obviously because the maps are remakes of originals, but also because of the fact that we as a community wanted at least half of them remade. So if you're wanting me to speak on the lack of creativity of the remade old maps, then yeah, I'm not the one. Layout isn't necessarily a big problem with zombies, but there is one problem that I think is the worst thing for zombies maps. Actually, to be honest, this really shouldn't be a thing in any map. And that is a few smallish maps to make one big map or big mode or something like that. The Tortured Path is probably the worst version of this, and I won't go into detail on the map because I never played through it fully. My brother and I played it once, we were disappointed at round 4, died on round 8 or 9, and just played a different game. You could say if we had played through the entire thing and tough it out, we may have had a good time, but chances are that's not going to happen ever. Let me put it this way. If I come up to you with a game in hand telling you to play this game, it's so good. You play the first half an hour to an hour of it and you feel miserable and bored. And I say to you, come on man, it gets good at the end. Every time you look at that game and think about playing it, you're more likely to go, nah, I'd rather not. Then, alright, let's push through. And if I do manage to get through and you play the game to its completion, you're probably going to be underwhelmed because I overhyped how good the ending was going to be. Does that make sense? Some others that do small maps for one big map are Forsaken and Transit. Transit being the better of the two, only because Transit's version of it makes a little more sense than what Forsaken's does. To compare the two, one uses a bus to go from one key location to the next, and the other uses teleporters. Here is why I think Transit does it better. Ask yourself, why does Transit use a bus to go from point to point? Well, a bus goes from point A to point B, and it makes sense with the theme of the map because it's a borderline rural setting. Fuck off. It would be a pain in the ass to make a run for it, especially when there is a fat load of nothing in between places. Does that make sense? Now let's ask the same thing about Forsaken using teleporters. Well, a teleporter gets you from point A to point B way quicker than a bus ever does, so surely that's a positive, right? Yeah, that in itself is a positive, but everything else regarding the teleporter, no. The reason is because I don't understand why they are there in the first place. Do you know what I mean? Like, why are there teleporters everywhere around the base? You could make the argument that it is the same with all the teleporters, and that is fair, but they at least make a little bit of sense than what Forsaken does. Kino and Doris had teleporters. Doris was the place where teleporters were being tested and at some point succeeded, and then built one at Kino or something to that effect. But Forsaken, it makes no sense whatsoever. Especially the first one that is right next to the entrance before you enter the facility. Like, imagine you knew nothing about the teleporters, but you know you have to get inside of the base. You walk around and find a weird portal-like thing and step into it to find that it teleports you inside of the base. Like, that's a serious security issue in my opinion. In all seriousness, I genuinely don't understand why the teleporters are there in the first place in a logical sense. Now, onto the next problem I have with map creativity, and that is, I have no idea what to name this problem. There are two parts to this problem. Zombies maps that were originally a multiplayer map, or a campaign mission, and zombies maps that do not feel like zombies maps. Now, let's get the less problematic one out of the way, which is the zombies maps that were originally from somewhere else. It's not as problematic because if it is done correctly, it can become a killer map. Take Nightfire and Doris for example, or even Launch from BO1 and Ascension. The problem is when it is done in a lazy way. I am using lazy in a light way because it's not really a problem of laziness, it's a problem of time and, you know, a whole lot of other shit. But for instance, Forsaken. Just to have a quick side note, as I'm writing this, I actually think that I dislike Forsaken more than I originally thought. I used to think it was somewhat decent, but nope, no way, hell no. As if you could be one of the greats. Now get the fuck back in the bin and stay there before you get shanked, bitch. I am being a bit harsh, but yeah, just thought I should say that. Anyway, Forsaken was just the campaign mission red light, green light, but they closed areas off and added teleporters like that was what zombies was about. Let's compare the examples I made earlier. This feels like a war-torn city. This feels like an overrun science facility. Or this feels like factions fighting over control of a rocket base. This feels like an overrun and abandoned rocket test facility. Now this feels like a mission where you can go in and gather intel of a certain Russian base. But this feels like that mission I played once but with zombies and teleporters. This almost makes it seem like I am purely hating on the newer stuff, but I have a more recent example. The mission Brick in the Wall and Mauer de Totem. This mission feels like you are infiltrating or are somewhere you shouldn't be, and Mauer feels like an abandoned city that has now been overrun. And now onto the more problematic point, and that is that some zombies maps don't even feel like zombies maps, which kind of ties into the last point I made. There aren't a lot of examples for this, especially ones that I have played, but what I consider to be a non-zombie zombie map is if you take the zombies away and make minimal changes, it can turn into another map entirely. Obviously you can say that with a lot of maps, but let me explain. Let's go to the earliest map that I can think of that almost breaks this. People are going to hate me for this, but it is Call of the Dead. Hear me out, hear me out. Remember, I said it almost breaks the rule. So, if you get rid of the zombies, in my opinion, the only parts that scream zombies to me is the boat. Everything else is just snow and rock with a lighthouse. Okay? Do we agree? Who am I kidding? This is the internet. I breathe and someone has a problem with me. Alright, so the reason I would still consider Call of the Dead to be a zombie map is because there is so much that I think would need to be changed in order for the map to be playable in a multiplayer mode. Cold War is a little bit of a problem when it comes to this. Some not as much as others, but still a bit of a problem. So let's go through them quickly. First up, D-Machine. No zombies, close the facility doors that head underground, and boom, you have a small multiplayer map. The only part that says zombies is that underground part that we've just closed off. Maybe you could open up the map a little bit by removing some of the barricades, but you've pretty much got a multiplayer map right there, regardless. You have a center arena where the shorter range weapons can battle it out, and everywhere else is snipers. It's like a modern version of Wasteland, but in the snow. If any of you old fucks can remember Wasteland. Anyway, Firebase Z is a little bit of a worst case. Get rid of the zombie, and it already doesn't feel like a zombies map. Even with the zombies in it, it still doesn't feel like a zombies map. Obviously, get rid of the teleporter to the spawn area, and you have your typical 3-laned map. The raid areas is pretty much useless. They can be just barricaded off. But add some windows to this wall here and maybe a hole in the center wall, but yeah, it's already a 3-laned multiplayer map. And the worst case goes to surprise. I won't repeat myself here, but I have another example. Let's just move this out of the way and turn on the light switch and done. And the thing is, it's already a multiplayer map, so woohoo. This first point ties in a little bit to the maps topic as well, and that's because I'm going to be talking about map-specific wonder weapons that can make or break a map. I firmly believe that map-specific wonder weapons have that kind of power. If a wonder weapon is horribly bad, everyone sees the entire map in a different light. Or if they play the map, they will ignore the wonder weapon altogether. But this is true for the reverse as well. If a map is horribly bad, people won't want to play the map just to use the wonder weapon. Now, I'm going to completely change the dynamic of one of the greatest maps of all time. I don't know if I used that word correctly, but roll with it. Origins. If we get rid of the wonder weapon in Origins, in terms of gameplay, everything changes almost completely. The Easter egg will need to be changed, the crazy place almost has no reason to be a thing, and as a map, it can't really stand on its own to be as good of a map as it is when the stars are present. However, looking at Mob of the Dead, get rid of the blunderbuss, whatever it's called, nothing changes. The map can stand on its own 2 feet without really needing the blundergat. That's what it is. Anyway, I remember playing Black Ops 2 and not even trying to get the blundergat. Instead, it was saved until one of us goes down and can't be revived in the higher rounds, and that person rushes to grab it so that they have at least one semi-decent weapon to survive. Holy shit, that sentence was so fucking difficult to say, especially without fucking getting tongue twisted. Fucking semi-decent decent weapon. Fuck off. Fuck English. Anyway, an example of a shit map and a great wonder weapon is Forsaken and the Chrysalax. We've done it, boys. A good point to Forsaken. Yes! At least for me personally, when I play the map, I have to get the wonder weapon to at least have the map enjoyable. These may sound like non-points, but the goal of talking about it is to get you to think about all the other maps without their respective wonder weapon and decide whether or not the map needed it or not, and to prove that maps and wonder weapons go hand in hand in making a map great. Each of the map specific wonder weapons give those maps an extra layer of personality, regardless if they are bad maps in general or not. Recently, there have been a lack of new wonder weapons, and as a result have made the game mode boring and lacking in any kind of personality. Now, this may get a little depressing, but let's compare Black Ops 4's wonder weapons to all of the wonder weapons that came out afterwards. In Black Ops 4 there was the Kraken, Homunculus, Death of Orion, Magmagats, Golden Spork Knife, Alistair's Folly, Steak Knife, Savage Impaler, Hands of the Gods, Ray Gun variants, Tundra Gun, Wonder Waffle, and Samantha's Music Box. That's 13 total. 23 if you are including each variant, but I am counting Kraken, Hands of the Gods, and the Ray Guns as one each. Now, let's compare everything after. Cold War has the DIE machine and its upgrades. The Ray-K, Cerberus, Chrysalax. Vanguard has the Decimator Shield, and Modern Warfare Zombies has the Scorcher. That's 6 total. Now the point of this isn't to say that more wonder weapons equals better wonder weapons, right? Because we've had some stinkers in the past. And some of Cold War's wonder weapons are actually really good. And Modern Warfare Zombies Scorcher is probably the best thing for that map, as you can traverse really well with it. But I digress. Looking at this list, it almost looks a little bit unfair, right? So let's make it a little bit fairer. The Hands of the Gods will count as one wonder weapon, as well as the Cerberus, the DIE machine, and the Kraken. We can get rid of the Tundra Gun, as it's a thunder gun that shoots frost instead. The Wonder Waffle DG Sharpshooter, it's the Wonder Waffle with a scope. The Magmagat is just a different upgrade to a past weapon, the Blundergat. The Golden Spork Knife is an upgrade to an existing upgrade, which is the Golden Spork. And the Ray Gun variants, which does not need explaining anyways. Black Ops 4 alone has 7 brand new wonder weapons, while Black Ops Cold War, Vanguard, and Modern Warfare Zombies have 6 total brand new wonder weapons. The last time Zombies had less than 10 wonder weapons released was Black Ops 1 with 9, and World at War with 3. Told you it was going to get a little bit depressing. Alright, Doc, I've done about what I could. I think that should do it. Don't you? Is he back yet? No. I'm sorry. Fuck's sake. Sounds pretty ominous, right? The merge. But it is not all bad. A lot of it is actually pretty good. The bad comes from mainly the recent entries. It is just a bit of a break from the shit talking, since a lot of this video is going to be negative. I guess just consider this my filler arc. Also, this is going to be a bit of a segue into the next topics. You'll know it when you see it. I'm sure you all know that for a while now, Zombies has been getting some multiplayer-esque mechanics and systems, which most have been pretty sick. The Gunsmith was a fucking godsend in my opinion. If I am remembering this correctly, in Black Ops 2 you had to pack-a-punch multiple times to get attachments, and each time you pack you get a different attachment. The same way with ammo mods were done in Black Ops 3 and Black Ops 4. I remember having to use an attachment I didn't like until I could afford pack again, which was pretty annoying. You could say the same thing about ammo mods, but sometimes the ammo mods didn't really affect your gameplay as much, you just wanted a better one. But the attachments kind of did affect how you played a little bit, especially if you just didn't like a certain attachment. Anyway, I'll continue. The camo grind. I personally don't care for it, but for some that want something for playing zombies, it's there. However, there have been some zombies aspects that have been going into other modes as well, like Horde Point. I can't say if it's good or not, but I've heard some good things about it, and even the campaign has gotten a little zombies flavour here and there. But it is time to talk about the more negative things, and to begin I'm just going to say Modern Warfare Zombies. I don't really need to say anything else, but I'm going to. What Modern Warfare Zombies is probably the worst thing to happen to zombies in a creative and merging sense. I'm not saying it is overall worse than Vanguard, but Vanguard has one thing going for it, and that is that it was unique. Although not entirely a good way, if you know what I mean. It's fucking... But you cannot tell me that the overall theme of the maps and the setting was complete dog shit. Yes, it just took multiplayer maps and thrown zombies in, but I feel that what they did was a somewhat decent job at getting a theme going that looked unique. Modern Warfare Zombies, however, just made a DMZ map and thrown zombies in it. That was it. It is even worse when you add the HUD into it. With the HUD looking exactly the same no matter what mode you are playing, it makes it even harder to truly differentiate between all the different modes. The only thing that really differentiates zombies from everything else is the zombies. But like I said earlier, there are zombies in multiplayer modes. So what is exactly separating the identities of these modes? Fucking nothing. I do want to talk a little bit more about the HUD though, so... Segway! Fuck. Told you would know where the segue is. Haha, very subtle. Anyways, the HUD. I'm just going to list off a few things that I'm sure we can all agree need to be in the HUD at all times. And those are the gun and ammo count, round counter, your equipment, the shields and field upgrades are included in that, your points, and your current equipped perks. That's pretty much it. There is room for mechanic specific things like elixirs and the weapon pack level in Cold War, but that is in general all that you need in the HUD at all times. Now for the negatives. The first point is something that you could argue is more beneficial to have than not, but I'm going to fucking yap anyways. Having 3 different ways to track your current health. Let me explain. There is the OG red screen effect. This has been in CoD since the very beginning. There is a health bar, and next to the health bar is your health value. In my opinion, the red screen effect should be the only way for health to be registered, which may sound super biased, but I have a legitimate reason. That is, my focus when playing the game is always going to be in this area. After getting hit, I am not looking to the bottom corner to check my health. I'm trying to get away from the zombies, and because of that I can't really look at the health bar. You could run and then look, but by the time you've done that, you've started healing already, so what's the point? You just don't have that kind of leeway that you do in multiplayer or Warzone. Even the health bars of your teammates are useless for the same reason. If they have a mic on, they'll tell you that they are in fucking trouble eons before you look at their health bar. If they don't have a mic, well, they're pretty well fucked unless by some fucking miracle someone looks at the health bar and pops the healing aura thing before they get downed. But yeah, that's basically my point. And the reason I say that having 3 ways to track health is bad is because if you need to have the same information told in 3 different ways, then you fucked up. You don't need more than 2 elements. Having 1 element is obviously the best amount of HUD elements you need. There may come a time where the information might be a bit difficult to convey, so you may need 2 elements, but still shouldn't be necessary. And 3 and above tells me that there's a problem with the information you want to convey or the HUD design. And now, bulky HUD elements. Oh, fucking boy. Everyone's got a problem with these, for good fucking reason. Black Ops 4 probably had the most bulky HUD in comparison to the amount of information that was conveyed. Like, look at this shit. Cut the screen in half. The top is nice. Clean. You've only got the round counter and the room name you're in. Nothing else. Nice. But then we look at the bottom and... ugh. It is so fucking hideous. Let's go around the screen, shall we? You aren't even permanent, so we can ignore you. What is your purpose?
We display the player's points and player models.
Okay, why do you take up so much space?
We need the space.
What for?
Our
art. The fuck? You pointy tic-tac looking ass. And you look like an element that was adopted and still wasn't wanted, so you try to fit in.
Man, fuck you!
What about you?
I show the players perks.
But they are on screen at all times.
Yes, well, that is because of the perk system for this game. You have to choose your set perks before starting a match. That's also why we have the names of the perk machines about each icons, as to know which perk is assigned to which god in this case.
Seems like a pretty dumb idea. What happens when you get a free perk?
Oh, we don't talk about them at all. We give them to the points.
Okay, getting dumber. What is that at the bottom?
That's art!
What? Oh, my god. Okay, you.
We are the equipment.
Okay. Why is that one different and so far away?
Superiority complex.
Okay, you two shut up for a sec. You are an equipment.
No, I am a shield.
Right. You're an item used for a specific purpose.
Indeed.
The player uses you in a similar way to that of the other equipment, yes?
Yes.
And the player has to equip you to use you again, like the equipment.
I am with you so far.
So you are equipment.
No! I am a shield!
Motherfucker! Oh, fuck. Okay, back to you two. Why does he not have a background?
He doesn't appreciate our
Art! Yeah, no. Moving on. You. What? Hey! Another tactic! Do a kickflip!
Look, I'm just a weapon, man. Not a tactic. Just a weapon.
Killjoy. Alright. Any reason for the image of the gun? Seems pretty redundant to me, especially when it is in front of me 24/7.
I don't fucking know. People want to see the side perspective?
I don't think anyone could care less if you got rid of it. It's just that it is a lot of space that could be better used up by the equipment.
But I fucking need it.
What the hell for?
Oh.
Yeah, I'm gonna have stopped you right there. Just shut the fuck up. And finally you, what do you do?
I show the players their elixirs at all times.
So, like the gobblegums, but you are on screen at all times?
Yes, but if you looked at the systems of the game, you would know that you can use them at any point without having to go to a gobblegum machine. The only negative being that there is a cooldown timer in between uses.
Okay, I can kind of see that having to be on screen at all times. But that's not the only problem. Your element is probably the bulkiest thing in the game. And this is on console, heaven forbid you play on a fucking keyboard or mouse.
I believe it to be necessary though, because it is my It's my But it
No! You can shut the fuck up, okay? I'm done talking to you lot. Let's move swiftly forward and get the fuck away from them. Anyway, I think I have established that BO4's HUD is fucking wank, right? Cold War and the future installments fixed Black Ops 4's problem by making everything more streamlined and cleaner. However, they managed to do that and make the HUD more bulky. How the fuck does that happen? Let's quickly go around. I'm not gonna do a skit anymore because I'm running out of fucking voices to do. Oh yeah, by the way, like my voice acting? No, of course you fucking didn't. Anyway, going around. The points are a lot cleaner now, and in terms of the amount of information they give to the amount of screen they take up, it is about here-ish, just for more of a visual idea of what I'm kind of talking about. The perks are a lot closer together and they don't have that artistic crap around it. Gun and equipment, good. No gun image, making the HUD bulkier as well, so that's a plus. Here's where it gets a little tricky. The kill streak takes up a lot more space than the size of the element. It is kind of hard to explain, so I am just going to ask you something. What I'm going to do is take a random point of this video, this little bit of gameplay here. I'm going to cut everything out except between the kill streak and the equipment. What I'm going to ask you to do is to try and identify what I am showing on screen. Okay? So, here's your first one. Pause the video if you want longer to think, as I am giving the answer right away. This is the outer fence in the pond area. Second one. This is a brain-rotted zombie. Third one. Do you think it is the ground? Good job, but riddle me this. Where? It is the muddied footprints in the crash site. Now, if the kill streak is moved closer to the equipment, you'll get a bigger, more clearer view of the stuff on the side. So try and guess these. First one, the stairs going up to spawn. Second one, the back end of the tank in spawn. Third one, it's the same as the first one we did. Now, you might not have been exactly right for these later three, but my point is you can clearly see what it is. But when there's that small gap in between the HUDs, you can't see shit, so it's just wasted space. Meaning that it adds to the bulk without anything there. Does that make sense? Probably not. Fuck it. Now, onto the things that happen when you kill the zombies, which has to be the worst part in the newer zombies games. It is at its worst in Cold War, but I believe some of these problems were minimalized in the future games. But the HUD elements I am talking about is the XP counter, damage numbers, and medals. These elements have to take up the most space in the most annoying way possible. I've never cared about the XP I have earned until the end of the game is finished, even in multiplayer, but the way it is done in zombies, it is per kill, especially in fucking Cold War. And it stacks, so you end up with a fucking Bible chapter or a 10-foot long receipt of just XP points, completely blocking your view, and even worse than that, it's in the middle of the fucking screen. The damage numbers completely obstruct everything behind them. I don't see the point in damage numbers either way, anyway. Such an RPG type thing, like who gives a fuck? Even in those kind of games, I don't really care. And the medals that show up when I am doing the most standard zombies things, like, it doesn't feel rewarding at all. It feels like a participation award for doing what is considered the normal in zombies. Like, you're shooting through a train and you get like 20 medals come up like you just got a fucking 25 kill streak in 2 seconds in multiplayer. Like, what the fuck? You may have noticed that there are a few things that I need to mention and I haven't. Those are the map and the compass. Both of these are fully useless in a round-based sense. They have more uses in an open world setting, although I would still argue that the map is still fairly useless because I feel like I would pull up the full screen map to look at things anyways. So making the mini-map fucking pointless. But that's besides the point. The reason I didn't talk about them earlier is because if it was for an Easter egg and it goes away when either of those things are no longer needed, I would personally consider it okay. Like, say for example, a map came out that was based on an island where Blackbeard had hidden some treasure on an island, or fucking some shit like that, right? And you find a map that could be used like the current mini-map until you find the thing that you're looking for, and then it just disappears. You don't need it anymore, so it's not on your screen. Same thing for the compass. You use it for like a specific step, like you find a note that is like a real puzzling note, like it's a riddle or something, and after going through the riddle, it's like, from this tree, take 50 paces west, 10 south, and then 20 east. You do that, once the step is done, the element is taken off the HUD. You don't need it. The only time it would stay on the HUD is if there's like a hidden Easter egg, side Easter egg that you can do when you have the compass in your inventory or some shit like that, right? And now that I've talked about it, I kind of want a pirate map of some kind now. There could be 2 bosses. One is like the Flying Dutchman, which is a ghost ship, and you sink the ship with fucking cannons on an island, right? Not you. Anyway, next. Afterwards, you have to kill Davy Jones himself, which I'm sure you've heard of the saying, Davy Jones's locker, which is a metaphor for people that have drowned at sea. This wouldn't work in the Ether story because, well, the Ether story is like really scientific. But this would have been a fucking sick chaos map, in my opinion. Welcome, Richtofen. You already know the situation you are in, and you need to decide quickly. Pick the Wonder Wafer, and fight alongside the friends you have made without the connection to your past. Or the MPD, where you have control of the zombie. Sorry, but you should probably leave this man to rest. Nope, not yet. I still got a few more things to talk about first. Alright, speaking of chaos, let's go right into the chaos storyline, shall we? Just a quick note that I'm not going to talk about the chaos story specifically, like the elements of it, because there's not a whole lot to talk about, which is unfortunate. So instead, I want to list a few things that I believe caused the downfall of a potentially great story. The first thing is the timing of its release. When Black Ops 3 Zombies ended and the Rev Easter egg was solved, the community was hyped for what was to come next, as it seemed like the end to the entire saga was going to come to a close soon. And later on, we got Zombies Chronicles and the entire Ether story loop in chronological order from the beginning of time to the end of the loop, which was probably the biggest info dump in Zombies history, where a stupid amount of questions were answered, which for the Zombies community was the best time to be a Zombies fan. And boy, we ate good. And well, we geared up for the next map release, which was Voyage of Despair.
Okay. Not only was that not even a part of the original story, and it is possibly the worst Treyarch map of all time. Also, I specified Treyarch simply because World War II Zombies exists. Anyway, I think the point of it was to use the hype of the Ether story to get more eyes on the chaos, but unfortunately it ended up doing the complete opposite. Another thing that I think contributed was the endless list of controversies that accompanied it. I'm going to start light and work my way up. The first of which was that it could be associated with the loss of a fan favorite perks. Speed ended up getting some kind of replacement in the form of getting all 4 perks, while Double Tap had to have a rapid fire attachment on the gun, which not all guns had the attachment, and Jug was just nowhere to be seen. I'll go more in depth about the perk systems later on. But speaking of perks, the overall perk system was seen in a bad light, as it felt more limiting in game, as you had to stick to the 4 perks you chose at the start, and you couldn't choose them in game. You could choose what order to get them in, but you were stuck to those 4 perks that you chose. And that entire system kind of felt like it was made with only Chaos Story in mind, and the Ether story was an afterthought. Anyway, the next point, the map Dead of the Night had possibly the worst release of all time. First reason for that, it didn't even have a trailer. Even looking at Call of Duty and the Treyarch YouTube pages had nothing. Even Googling Dead of the Night trailer gave me nothing except for the Black Ops Pass update, which was released the day after or the day of the map coming out. Everything else was just fan-made trailers or just someone cutting what was in that Black Ops Pass update and putting trailer at the end of it. On top of that, someone either on PlayStation or Activision's side fucked up. I don't know the full story or how the fuck the shit works, but all I know is that the map came out early and New Zealand YouTubers were playing and uploading footage which gave them a copyright strike, which obviously rubbed parts of the community the wrong way. And guess what? It still piles on. A dev was fired for having lunch when he was not supposed to. Well, actually, more like a dev was fired for having lunch when he was not supposed to, however he was never told when his new lunch times were. The, I guess now former dev, retaliated and ruined the experience for everyone that was trying to solve Easter egg steps by telling everyone about the ones that hadn't been solved yet. And then got his friend to tell a streaming YouTuber a bunch of steps regarding the Dead of the Night Easter egg. And fucking hell, if the community wasn't fractured by this point, it definitely was now, as it almost split into 2 factions fighting for these YouTubers that were a part of it, while the YouTubers in question just didn't want to talk about it much. I think one YouTuber made a video on it, but past that, I don't think anyone, well, those 2 mainly, gave a fuck. Like, it happened, they moved on, but the community that were just split up into factions, they were just fucking fighting for nothing. Now, on behalf of the dev, take the story with a grain of salt. I don't know what actually happened, but if I was in his shoes and the exact same scenario happened to me, fucking same to be honest, fuck that shit. After all that, we got probably the best map in the Chaos story. Unfortunately, the sourness of the bullshit that happened beforehand almost made the game unplayable, or at the very least, not very fun. Just a quick note before I get into it, it is going to seem like that I am purely talking shit about the new storyline and using the old storyline to prove my point. So I just want to say that the new storyline could be a decent story if it didn't use or have the old story's elements. Like if it was its own complete new thing with no ties, no Samantha, no Richtofen, nothing, right? Could have been a good story without the original Ether. Anyways, let's get into it. First and foremost, the Zombies experience was never really perfect. I mean, in the earlier games, they wrote the story as the games were coming out, but they always stayed true to what Zombies was. Even when they added the most random shit like gods, aliens being behind this entire fucking story, killer meatballs falling from the sky to destroy your flag while a tentacle man charges up an attack. Like, what the fuck is going on at that point? We've had aliens, giant robots, dragons, killer insects, interdimensional time travel. Like, this is starting to sound like a fucking sci-fi movie on par with Star Wars and Star Trek. But they always stay true to what Zombies was at its core, right? The way that I think about these stories is that they have to have some rules for how the universe operates. For example, the eye color signified who was controlling the zombies. Narked and Varrocked won't be included in this because at the time of release, I don't think they had any clue how the story was going to go. Which is kind of what happens when you create something just because you have the resources and then it turns out everyone loved it, so you make more without any real thought to the story. I am also lazy and don't do my own intense research. Like, I don't spend hours researching everything to do with the storyline because I am an idiot. So, take this with a rock of salt. Like a fucking huge one. Anyway, it was a huge thing to pay attention to after completing the moon Easter egg when the orange eyes turned blue after Richtofen and Samantha switched bodies. But let's quickly go through the colours and who it was that was in control. So, Samantha, Richtofen, Avogadro, a turned zombie, and Default. Default just means the Apothicans or the gods controlling the zombies. So, there are a few inconsistencies with this rule. These maps here do not go with this rule. However, I have my own little theory, if you will. So to answer the question as to why these maps don't follow the eye color rule, we must ask how the color of the eye is chosen. Yes, this is going to be a bit far and the longest stretch known to mankind, but fuck it. I personally doubt that the ones controlling the zombies change the eye color to what they want, like it's a character creator. So with that in mind, how about DNA, like blood type? Take this for example. The Apothicans we see in Shadows of Evil are not the same as the Apothicans we see in Rev. So what if the different Apothicans have different DNA strands, which in turn changes the eye color? This would obviously explain the eye color in all these maps, as they are different fractures with different meteors sent from different Apothicans. A cheesy way to work around the plot hole, but who fucking cares? It's zombies. Craziest shit has fucking happened. Or, I just thought of this, or they do choose the eye color and Samantha didn't know how to change it, but no matter what, Gorod Crovia is probably the weirdest map in terms of eye color. Like, nothing works with any theory, so the only thing I can think of is the stupid DNA theory, which is still loose at best. But anyways, rules. Another rule is that zombies were made, created, transitioned. I don't know, either way. They became zombies through interacting with element 115, whether that be voluntary or involuntary. These are the only two rules that I can come up with on the spot. There are probably more, but much like understanding the story, you have to do incredible mental gymnastics to figure this shit out, and I don't have that kind of time. One more thing about the Ether storyline that made zombies what it is, and that is the way that the story was told. Everything from the past was told through radios in the form of experiment logs, talking hypotheses, tests, results, conversation between scientists, the lot, right? And the present was told through in-game dialogue and actions that we, the player, did. Remember when I said earlier that the gameplay loop included the theorizing part? Well, this was it. The story enjoyers would play the game, soak up as much information as possible, and try to piece it together like it was some giant fourth dimension puzzle, post their findings on social media, and everyone would share their reasons for agreeing with it or disagreeing with it using their own sources that they have found in-game. Discovering the story was a huge team effort that also allowed the community to form their own crazy theories, which got people playing again and again to get another piece of information that hadn't been discovered yet, and add another piece to this huge fucking puzzle that is getting denser and bigger, I guess. Yeah. The Dark Ether story. Again, I just want to note that this story wouldn't necessarily be bad if it wasn't directly connected to the original Ether story. So, let's go through why I think Dark Ether story is bad using what made the original good. First up is that the mode felt like zombies no matter how much crazy shit was added. Recall the dragons, giant robots and aliens and shit, right? Now the only enemy that exists in the newer version is the zombies. Yet somehow it feels less like a zombies mode than before. How the fuck does that happen? I feel like the story progresses at the same rate if you were to take the zombies out of it completely. With the older story, without the zombies, Richtofen just wants to chill out in the pyramid for some fucking reason, and that's the entirety of Black Ops 1. The Apothicans are just throwing rocks at planet rocks. On top of that, they also feed off of energy as well. So assuming that the terror that came from a zombie apocalypse was what fed them, without the apocalypse, them fuckers are starving. Basically, without the zombies, the entire storyline falls apart without changing anything else. However, in the Dark Ether storyline, without zombies, at least to my understanding, which isn't a lot, it feels like the story would still move forward. Most of Cold War zombies has been trying to stop portals from coming up everywhere. The zombies were just a byproduct of that happening. So without them, Requiem is still trying to shut them off. Vanguard seems to have a bit more zombies-ness to it, as much as it pains me to say, or even for you guys to hear. But the zombies was Cortifex's way. Am I saying his name right? Cortifex? Whatever. It was his way of getting rid of those who opposed him, right? So without zombies, fuck, he's just a knob from the Dark Ether, isn't he? And in MW3, I don't know a whole lot. I don't know fucking anything about that story, to be honest. But MW3, it seems similar to Cold War's storyline, but with the addition of Zakhaev and his zombie creating vial. But the entire plot point feels like it is sidelined, and the main plot is stopping the dimension tearing again. So weirdly enough, out of the 3 zombies experiences that we have had so far, the one that is considered the worst zombies mode in its history is the one that actually has zombies play a crucial part to its story arc. Fucking wild. Second point. Earlier, I was talking about how certain rules were established in the Ether storyline. Yes, you could say that it is a different story now, so the rules are different too. But just know that you are an idiot for suggesting that. The zombies that came out of these portals are the same ones from the old. Therefore, the rules stay the same. As soon as Cold War starts, the rules change. Straight away. Recall that I said that the eye colour signified who or what was influencing the zombies? Well, who is it now? Orange was more or less default, I guess, which could have been the Apothecarian influence. Again, different DNA thing. Especially if it wasn't Samantha controlling them. So, where are they? Sure, there are the Abominations and the Mimics, but they're barely Apothecarians. Okay? They're more like faceless beings with all mouth. That's it. There are no Keepers, no Monty, no Shadow Man. Again, because he is still supposedly inside of the summoning key. Which is also nowhere to be seen, by the way. So, is anything influencing the zombies, or is eye colour no longer a fucking rule? They just threw that out the window. Fucking next zombies map will have a mixture of blue-eyed and green-eyed zombies, because why the fuck not? My next point for the rules segment was that the zombies were all pretty much created from Element 115. This holds true in Cold War because the zombies in that game came from the Dark Ether, and the zombies from the Dark Ether are the zombies from the Ether. So, fine, right? However, after that, in Vanguard, zombies were created from some artifact that held Cortifex's power, which is a rule similar to the Chaos storyline. Hold on. Now that I'm thinking about it, has Chaos merged with the Dark Ether? I believe I remember hearing about some radio that referenced Alistair Rhodes, who was Scarlet Rhodes' father. Is that why there are gods that aren't Monty and Shadowman now? Wait. That means this rule is completely moot. Especially considering that Ethereum can turn humans to zombies now. Because that's what's in Zakhaev's vial, right? That's like weaponized Ethereum. And Ethereum isn't 115, I don't think. At the very least, it isn't confirmed to be 115. So who the fuck is the antagonist then? Shit's just happening with no fucking reason. Oh, this is fucking bullshit. Yeah, the new storyline sucks. On top of that, the gods that supposedly exist aren't relevant in Cold War or Modern Warfare zombies. So are they even still a thing at this point? I know I'm rambling, but this is fucking annoying. Does Scarlet Rhodes still exist? Did the events in the Chaos story happen still, or are they going to shoehorn that in somehow in the near future, in Black Ops 6, I guess? Fuck this story. Jesus Christ, the mental gymnastics is crazy with this one. I know I said mystery was what kept the community going and all, but they're creating questions that make previous They're creating questions that make previous answers invalid. And that's what's fucking me off right now. Fuck's sake. The final point was the way that the story was told. Fuck's sake. I'm not even thinking properly. Jesus. Final point was the way the story was told kept zombies fresh and replayable, right? The way the story was told. But in this new one, the dialogue is all the same. Ugh, fuck's sake. To be honest, I can't be fucked talking about this story now. This has actually pissed me off. Fuck's sake. Stupid fucking... They were plunged into the dark ether and everyone died. The end. How we looking, Doc? Bastard? And still no. Fuck's sake, let me do it. Welcome to meta, bitch! Wait, take fucking up. Wait, you're fucking up. Why are you standing like you interfere with nada? Better get home to your troubled daughter. Let's get right into it. The operator system. Fuck you and everything you stand for. The obvious thing is that it is trying to monetize off of the zombies players by not having set characters. And it is no coincidence that this downfall of zombies and the lower quality started at roughly the same time this bullshit was introduced. But that shit, everybody knows already. But I have another point as to why this is so stupid, and that is the storytelling. Yes, we've already established how fucking trash the story is. However, simply by having no set characters in the zombies, there is no communication whatsoever. Instead, the story is told through comms, which is pretty shit on its own. But you as a character are third wheeling in their conversation. The conversation doesn't involve you at all unless it is an order, which is like 5 to 10% of the entire dialogue in zombies. Everything else, you have almost no reason to be listening to them at all. And even if you were listening, the zombies characters don't mesh. Like, for an example, let's talk about the Ultimus characters real quick. Yes, they were as stereotypical and racist as they possibly could be, but weirdly enough, they still had more personality than the soulless knobs that are on the comms. I'm talking about Cold War mainly, by the way. Again, haven't played Vanguard or Modern Warfare Zombies, but blah, blah, blah. But I feel like that the description I gave Cold War comm style of storytelling isn't far from the storytelling you get in Vanguard and Modern Warfare Zombies. It might be a bit better in Vanguard because, I don't know, the gods are speaking through comms, I guess. I don't know how, but whatever. Another thing with the personalities is that they don't challenge each other. Earlier I was talking about how Ultimus were as stereotypical as they possibly could be, but they still challenged each other in a way that they evolved each other, right? Except for Richtofen, of course, but that in itself played a role in the story, as he was just using them to get to his final goal. But in Cold War, you have a typical commander, a typical scientist, and a typical general. Typical commander is clueless and asks questions all the fucking time. Typical scientist answers them, and typical general sees gun schematics and says build. He's like a horny degenerate that sees a cute girl with the most horrific backstory and an even worse mental state and still saying would. Even the storytelling itself is lifeless. There's no need to investigate anything for the story because a lot of what I just told you, like when you go through the portal for the first time in D Machine, Weaver, lost you. What happened? Someone else. Portal, I think. Everyone else. Damn, that's crazy. It's like where streamers and the comms talk is the chat. When we hear the sound cue for the hazmat dude spawn in and chat's like, whoa, a hazmat dude spawned in. Like we didn't just hear the fucking sound cue. Also, by the time they've said it, we're already shooting him. Yeah. Now, I believe they made it better by tying the rarity to the Pack-a-Punch level in Vanguard, which is a little better, but I don't know how it works in MW3. It looks like it went back to the Cold War way of doing it, which is unfortunate, because that is the one I hate and what I'm going to be talking about. Remember earlier when I talked about the fact that there were fuck all of new and good wonder weapons? Not necessarily good, but new wonder weapons? Well, I believe this to be the reason why. Also remember when the trailers were coming out for Cold War? And they were talking about each weapon becoming a wonder weapon? Yeah. So basically my point is that this system feels like it is trying to be a replacement for wonder weapons because they can't be bothered to make any anymore. Or probably more accurately, they don't have the time and resources to make any more. Also, because every wonder weapon can become a wonder weapon, war buys and the mystery box is completely useless. You start with the gun of your choice, with the attachments of your choice, and just level it up to the legendary and PAP level 3 with the AAT that you want, and you're set. Here's some gameplay where I didn't know what to do and just started a match with a rocket launcher and got to 50 plus with ease. I might have downed once or twice, I don't remember, but still, point still stands. I didn't need to buy another weapon. The gun was still usable, and when I ran out of ammo I just bought some more, which is another point. Starting with a weapon you want makes box and war buys even more useless because you could build it up to the point you have no need for anything else. Now, I am not saying the armor system is horrible. I just think that the shield system is far superior to what the armor system is. The armor system lasts longer than that of the shield. When it is destroyed, you can just replenish it from simple pickups or a carpenter, and your health depletes a lot slower than without it. As opposed to the shield, where once its health is depleted, it is broken, you need to get a new one, and it depletes no health as long as you are getting attacked from behind. Which sounds good for the armor, right? But I like the shields more because they were dynamic, unique, and some even felt like a third weapon. Having shields almost added more personality to the mode as well, and they had more uses to them than just being something that protects you. Sometimes they were required for Easter egg steps, and some even had their own little upgrade quest. Did I just say upgrade? Yeah, so yeah, just thought I would share my opinion on that. Like I haven't been doing that already throughout this whole fucking video, but yes. Ha! The system wasn't bad per se, but past the first month of Cold War, did anyone actually use it? I assumed if there are kill streaks in Modern Warfare Zombies, they would get used more often than they would in Vanguard and Cold War. But the reason I ask is that I was trying to find kill streaks in the other games, but can't find anything other than Cold War, and obviously the multiplayer kill streaks. But I'm pretty sure I saw sentry guns in Modern Warfare Zombies, although I don't know if players put them down or they were just stationary and in set places that the player can interact with. But yeah, I think kill streaks are useless in round-based maps. It just takes me away from the experience rather than making me feel god tier at the game. So, I know the community is a little fractured when it comes to the idea of an open world zombies mode, which is completely fair to be honest, given the two that we have now are extremely mediocre. I personally would put Modern Warfare Zombies over Outbreak because Outbreak is still tried to be round based by using the rounds as the world difficulty, while Modern Warfare Zombies had an entirely new system, which in my opinion is needed for an open world experience. But I still think that an open world zombies mode could be amazing if it is built from the ground up to be an open world zombies map, or an open world zombies mode. Like if we got an open world map based on the Great War or some sort of Revelation style open world map, without the jump pads still in, of course, but still, I still think it would be great. The open worlds that we currently have just don't feel like zombies, but rather, in the case of Modern Warfare Zombies, it is DMZ map with zombies sprinkled in. That's it. And in the case of Outbreak, it felt exactly the same, like some random open world with zombies in it. The maps didn't feel overrun with zombies as well. Like, again, get rid of the zombies, what do you see? You see a decent area that looks recently abandoned. It doesn't look and feel chaotic unless the zombies are difficult. Just to tangent real quick, because my mind is going haywire with the ideas for the open world idea that I mentioned earlier. Imagine the Great War open world map, right? We play as operators. I know I said the system sucks, which it still does, but hear me out. We play as basic soldier nobodies, right? So it doesn't fucking matter who we are. And that's in the story sense as well, which is even better. We don't need to know who each other is. Anyway, we are in teams of 5 led by the core 4 Primus characters and the Wolf King. So each team of 5 has one of those core characters leading them, right? So that's 25 players. Each team has a separate Easter egg, right? And it depends on the character the team is led by. Completing the Easter egg will work with each individual team. However, a secret Easter egg that only begins when all 5 teams reach the end of each of their individual Easter egg. And at the end of the individual Easter eggs, you fight a boss that could be one of 5 Shadow Man's top commanders. And the end boss of the joint Easter egg is the Shadow Man himself, where we fight him to a retreat. Like, the amount of work that I'm talking is fucking intense and extremely unlikely, but still, one can only hope. And that's what I mean when I say built from the ground up for zombies. This idea screams zombies to me, not the other shit, but we move. I said earlier that Modern Warfare Zombies is better than Outbreak, as in open world zombies mode, but that doesn't mean I think it is good. One of the reasons is the time limit. I am being a little specific, especially in the sense that it is kind of a minor thing, but I already know that when I play games or missions that have some sort of time limit, I constantly look at the time to see how much time is left, which just takes me out of the entire experience. Also, I have to restrict myself when doing objectives, so after completing each objective, I look at the time to see if I can do another one or not, or if I have to drop what I'm doing and start heading back to exfil. There's just no freedom at all when playing the game. You're a complete slave to that time limit, and then you have to wait another 5 to 10 minutes afterwards to get into the next game and get all your shit back. There is this other game, I don't remember the name of it, I believe it's like Cycle Frontiers or something, but I'm pretty sure there was this mechanic where you could exfil if you want to, but you could also stay behind and the storm takes over the area. And the monsters are harder while the player goes inside and camp it out for a few minutes and survive while the map resets its loot and loads the next lot of players in. Modern Warfare Zombies could have a similar thing where the players prepare to survive for like 5 minutes, say, of an onslaught of tier 4 zombies. And at the end, they get rewarded with the highest tier shit. Like, surely if a small studio can do it, I think the studio only has like 100 and 150 or so employees. If a small studio like them can do it, fucking Activision can definitely fucking do it. The second problem I have with Modern Warfare Zombies is the DMZ shit surrounding it. As if I haven't made that point obvious during this video. But my point still stands, that it is not what Zombies is. It works in a multiplayer sense, like what DMZ is currently. I still don't find it fun though, but it works in that setting. But what we got in Modern Warfare Zombies feels like they needed to get zombies into the game really quick because Spec Ops for Modern Warfare 2 flopped so fucking hard. So they took everything in DMZ and just thrown zombies in. Again, a point I have made 1,000 fucking times now. But it still needs to be said. Zombies in a map doesn't make it a zombies map. One particular mechanic I find more annoying is the exfil and starting again because you start from the exact point you left in. Not in terms of location, but more the fact that you can get Pack-a-Punch not even a minute into the game, making you strong right off the bat. Like, you leave your previous game, you load back into the next game, you rub some rock onto it, like you are giving it the blue pill, and boom, you are all upgraded and ready to go. When that happens, it's the equivalent of pausing the game for about 5 to 10 minutes, unpausing, and you're back in spawn with the same shit and less equipment. When I was looking around doing my 5 seconds of research, I saw a few people saying that starting fresh is part of the experience in Modern Warfare Z, but fuck's sakes, man, that's not starting from scratch. Starting from scratch is what World at War and Black Ops 3 did, where you had nothing. No perks, no AATs, no wonder weapon, only a single pistol, and you had to build up your arsenal. That's starting from scratch. Obviously you can't get all the upgrades you want from Spawn and MWZ because of how you're limited to how much you can carry into the game, but the fact that you can get 70% of the way is still not starting fresh. I just had to point that out because I thought it was the dumbest point to make in favour of the DMZ style zombies mode. That kind of gameplay loop works well in DMZ, but in zombies where things used to have a reason, or where there is a story to be told, it just doesn't work. And you just can't convince me otherwise. Never gonna happen. What's up? It's your man N to the S, and I'm here because Zombie Richtofen here was in serious need of some work done to his mode. Welcome to Pimp My Mode. There was a big spoiler problem within the community, so we put a big ass spoiler on his big ass. We heard you like mystery, so we hid the cunt. So tell me, Doc, how you like the mode? Still not working. I think it is time for you to get your walk on. Bitch! Haha! Did you think that I wouldn't talk about you little fucks, huh? Did you think you could escape my rant? How cute you little fuckers you are. Hey, I could just eat you up. I am not saying that there is a problem with you guys or anything like that.
I'm not saying that you are super toxic, which you are, by the way. Like, you guys are fucking toxic, but that's just what communities are. That's not the point that I want to make. I'm also not saying to be like sheep and agree with everything anyone says. Hell, I've made a lot of points in this video, and there's a pretty good chance that every single person watching this disagrees with at least half of the points I've made. Also, YouTubers, you're included in this as well. One point I want to make is to just say what is shit and why. Don't worry about the feelings of the fucking devs, okay? The product was released in a subpar state, so complain about it. The worst thing it's going to do is make the game better, so complain about it. This point sounds harsh, I know, but I don't know how else to put it. There was a video of Ruff Waffles where he had finished playing a zombies game, and he was extremely disappointed, to the point he became a bit of a meme. But he said something along the lines of not wanting to say anything negative about the game, and one reason was that he was told by the devs that the community is a minor part of the game's player base, almost saying that because we are a minor part of the player base, there is no need in saying anything. The part about being a minor part of the game's player base is true, I don't doubt that, at all. But that almost sounds like a weak shield to have people not send them feedback because they don't want to deal with the problems that exist. So basically, the community has a fucking loud mouth, right? So I guess the entire point is to make your concerns known, regardless of what the fucking devs say. Or at the very least, put it in a way that tells them what the problem is, rather than saying it's shit. Why is it shit? Just is. Like, that shit helps no one. My next point has to be to stop hyping up nothing. This is after Black Ops 6 trailer, so yeah. I'm not saying to stop hyping up the game, but more to stop hyping up the game with nothing points. Like, when MW3 was coming out, I saw people hype up that factions and shit was coming back into multiplayer, like it was going to fix everything that is wrong with the fucking mode. Or, more recently, people hyping up Black Ops 6 like it is going to be the greatest CoD of all time, simply because it releases the year before the next GTA. And the fact that it is similar to the situation to Black Ops 2 and GTA 5. Like, fucking shut up with that crap. Am I the only one that thinks overhyping shit like that makes it feel worse when the game comes out and it sucks? I don't know, it just feels like that kind of crap does more harm than good. Hello! Honestly, if you are a dev and you made it this far, I'm pretty fucking surprised. But don't worry, I'm not going to shit on you and everything you stand for. I just have a few things to say. The first is that the shit I mentioned that is universally hated, not saying everyone agrees with me, but more the things that everyone agrees is shit. All of that kind of shit, I already know is not entirely your fault. I know that you're stuck between a rock and a hard place with one side hounding you about getting the shit done within their time, and the other side hounding you about the quality of the game. I also know that if you're working in horrible working conditions, you are naturally going to produce bad quality products. That's just what it is. Now, I am a believer that when there is a problem, it always comes from the top. Always. Not necessarily saying that the top is directly doing the dumb shit, but more that that is where the problem needs to be fixed from. If they don't fix it, then you're pretty well fucked, really. So you guys need to band together when shit you don't like happens and fight for your own creative freedoms instead of just rolling over because you're afraid of losing your fucking job. Not saying your job doesn't matter, but the point I'm trying to make is that there are probably a lot of devs who would agree with you on the shit you dislike. If you all banded together, the ones that dislike the shit, and made your points known, fuck, that shit would work. The worst they're going to do is fire everyone. But if there are a lot of you, they can't, because then there's no one to make their product. And the way the industry is going, it sounds like you're all on the fucking chopping block anyways, with all these fucking layoffs happening recently. I don't know all the answers, okay? I'm not saying I do. I'm just saying I would rather risk losing my job to make the games I make better instead of losing my job because corporate is crying for not making enough millions. See? You have a family that created you, friends that love you, and look, you even have a baby. Alright, this is getting ridiculous. Out! Out! Everyone out! Ugh, fine.
Alright, welcome to the end of the video. Damn, that feels so good to say. Am I the Bjort now? The Bjort? I hope you guys enjoyed. I mean, you probably didn't, but that is why I tried to make the videos seem a little more lighthearted to offset the overwhelming negativity, so it felt at least a little more watchable. That's about it for me. Leave a like if you liked it, dislike if you didn't. Share it around, comment. I genuinely want to know the thoughts surrounding the shit I've mentioned. Forget to subscribe, please. I don't want to do this anymore. This sucks. And finally, corporate kills creativity. Fuck you. Bye. Good. He is gone. I can stop with this forced accent. You are going to pay for everything you have done. It has taken me years to get my physical form back, and that Dempsey nearly outed me. All the tests I have planned, the scientific discoveries. I can't wait to get started. Sorry, I forgot my reading material. Bye.